Ahoy there, curious sailors and landlubbers alike. Ever wondered how our seafaring ancestors managed not just storms and pirates, but something far deadlier lurking below deck? Buckle up as we dive into the stinky depths of hygiene horrors on the high seas. Imagine you're setting sail, 16th century style. No modern luxuries, just you, your crew, and an endless ocean. But as you wave goodbye to dry land, little do you know you're also bidding adieu to any semblance of cleanliness. Let's talk about scurvy, the nightmare of the seas. This wasn't just about missing your daily fruits. Scurvy was a deadly disease caused by a lack of vitamin C from fresh fruits, leading to swollen gums, spotty skin, and, teeth falling out, making pirate smiles more terrifying than their swords. Without access to fresh fruits like oranges or lemons, sailors often resorted to meagre substitutes like sauerkraut and malt, which were believed to help. But unfortunately, these lack the necessary vitamin C to prevent scurvy. Speaking of grim realities, let's address the bathing, or rather the stark lack of it. For most sailors during these long voyages, bathing was virtually non-existent. The notion of washing up was a fantasy, with seawater being the closest substitute for a bath that they could hope to manage, which did little more than leave a salty residue that irritated the skin and failed to wash away grime. The lack of proper cleaning led to skin infections and exacerbated the spread of lice and other parasites. The ships themselves were a hygiene nightmare. Wooden ships were notoriously damp and poorly ventilated. Being porous, wood absorbed moisture and filth, creating an ideal breeding ground for disease-carrying parasites like fleas, bedbugs, and cockroaches. Now, below deck, where sailors slept, was a horror show. Imagine being packed like sardines, in the dark, surrounded by rats, and the air thick with the aroma of unwashed bodies and bodily functions. And while sailors might find some respite in their hammocks, passengers often weren't so lucky. Most were relegated to straw bedding, which quickly became soaked, cold, and a haven for illness, opening doors to influenza, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. Despite occasional attempts at disinfection with vinegar and chlorine bleach, the conditions on these passenger ships remained bleak and hazardous. Amidst the countless hardships of sea life, one of the most daunting daily challenges was simply answering nature's call. Onboard sanitation, or the lack thereof, paints a grim picture of life at sea. For both naval and merchant ships, facilities were primitive at best. Sailors and passengers would use buckets or hang over the ship's side, battling waves and maintaining balance. Cleaning themselves was no less challenging. Fresh water was too precious for washing, leaving most to make do with salt water when conditions allowed. While naval ships slowly implemented measures to improve these conditions, merchant ships remained dire. Cramped with passengers and minimal sanitation facilities, these vessels were veritable floating epidemics. During storms, passengers often shared a vinegar-soaked rag instead of toilet paper, a practice that did little to prevent the spread of diseases like dysentery and typhus. Let's not overlook the sailors' oral hygiene. Some might have used twigs from certain trees, frayed at one end to serve as a makeshift toothbrush, or cloths rubbed with salt to scrub their teeth. These methods were far from effective by today's standards, leading to widespread dental problems. Chronic toothaches and tooth loss were common, contributing to the misery of long voyages. Amidst the pervasive squalor, a beacon of progress shone brightly in the form of James Lind, a visionary in naval medicine. Recognizing the dire state aboard ships, Lind championed a series of groundbreaking reforms that began to transform seafaring health standards. One of his seminal contributions was the implementation of slop ships. These special vessels served as quarantine zones for new recruits, where they were bathed, medically examined, and provided with clean clothing before joining the crew on the main ships. This crucial step significantly reduced the transmission of infectious diseases like typhus among seasoned sailors and improved overall shipboard hygiene. Lind didn't stop there. He famously conducted experiments that conclusively demonstrated the effectiveness of citrus fruits in preventing scurvy, a scourge that had decimated crews for centuries. His advocacy led to the widespread adoption of issuing lemon or lime juice to sailors, earning British seamen the nickname limeys. Furthermore, Lind pushed for regular deck scrubbing and improved ship ventilation, which helped mitigate some of the fouler aspects of ship life. Though these measures might seem basic by today's standards, they represented monumental improvements at the time. Thanks to pioneers like Lind, life at sea became not only more bearable but also safer, paving the way for the age of exploration to reach its full potential. Now, imagine you're setting sail in the age of exploration. Given everything we've discussed, do you think you could have endured the harsh conditions aboard these ships? What would have been the toughest challenge for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below.